Hey, my name is PolishLynx, welcome to the Amantes, and we have the other fight continuing at the same time. The previous one ended basically, so yeah, at the same time two shadows clashed against each other in the school, but in the other place of the school. Time rendezvous between the man and the demon reached its climax. The moment the challengers sprinted forward. For Shirou closed the distance between them in the flesh, Wilhelm outclassed him with violence at the speed of sound. His swinging fists were accurate and merciless, threatening completely decimate the head of his opponent, but just a moment before Shirou's brain would have splattered like a pomegranate granate, a metal object interrupted their fight, exploding right in front of Wilhelm's eyes. A flashbang. The intense light was soon devoured by the demonic knife, but that was enough time for Shirou to disappear from Vampire's vision. However, that was hardly enough to blocking one's line of sight meant nothing in the face of the scion of the night. With his realm, he was sensitive enough to feel everything around him by his skin alone. Robbing him of vision was a wasted effort. Useless. Multiple stakes stored through the light accurately locked on their prey. Was that all? Was that the extent of his plan? Wilhelm launched his subsequent attack with disappointed contempt, but before his stakes could reach the target, they were swallowed by a wall of flames. An incendiary grenade set the corridor ablaze, filling it with the stench of combustion and snarls of deadly conflagration. Shirou escaped certain death only because the gale caused by Wilhelm's incoming stakes blew the fires away from his position, but even if he could predict this kind of outcome, his strategy was still one of utter and complete madness. He did not hesitate for a second before using an explosive from close range, not minding it would have very well blown himself to pieces. Even the demon of countless battlefields like Wilhelm could not help but pause momentarily in disbelief when faced with such seemingly reckless, yet for all matters and purposes life-saving decisiveness. However, the fire could hardly stop the cruel stakes themselves as they flew past Shirou, shredding his skin. It was only through his genius sixth sense that he managed to get out of this with mere flesh wounds, yet the impact, as many as it seemed, was enough to send him flying and crashing the wall at the end of the corridor. Cracks ran through his bones, and one of his legs was dislocated. To a mere human like Shirou, that was enough to more or less put him out of the match. And then...
ボケがいい加減学習しろや。
Wilhelm took the 5 bullets that Shirou fired just before the impact head-on. Without even attempting to swat them, he stood there, exposing his body to the shower of fluid, yet not even a scratch ended up on his skin. Crafty, ineffective, hopeless. The brat had guts and imagination, but of all things he chose the exact same trick for his final attack as the last time. Wilhelm could not help feeling let down by this development. The demon of the night took all attacks head-on in order to deny any naive ideas that he had possessed weak points, like some mortal scum. And that was what he was doing when he suddenly realized there was a scratch on his cheek. It had been Shirou's bullets, rather it was something he got as one of the brat's bullets hit a certain object and sent it flying at him. Shirou put his life on the line, and all he'd managed to achieve was a single scratch, yet... From a logical perspective, such things should have been impossible, a most bizarre phenomenon. The vampire shrank of all direct hits, even if they were equivalent to a collision with a truck, yet a simple piece of metal hurt him this time. In short, hitting him with the object was more effective than shooting him directly in the eyes or mouth.
OK 検証終了。お前さん、やっぱ典型的な王道バンプか。吸血鬼の不分率どれもきっちり守ってくれて大助かりだぜ。最近はこう無敵でチャチなお手軽モンスターが流行りだからよ。熱烈信者はこういう時に助かる。
Nice. So he's done his research. Shirou stood up, spilling bloody saliva on the ground. In his hand was the same kind of object that he'd left a scratch on Wilhelm's cheek with earlier, a silver accessory shaped like a cross. Shirou had tested the 3 things in exchange for intense pain and wounds, light, fire, and a silver cross. What they all had in common was obvious by this point.
この夜の空間内でかなりパワーアップしてるみたいじゃねえか。夜の化け物って言えば定番だろう。もしかしたらと試してみたらマジで効くとはな。
So silver, basically. Silver bullets, I guess. Vampires. If Wilhelm really was one of those right now, then Shirou's logic was solid. The young man had put his life on the line just to test it. You could pull all the conventional weapons in the world from your pocket, and none would mean shit against someone imbued with sorcery. He'd known that from the start, of course. He'd known from the sheer pressure he felt in his skin before logic and reason could catch up. As such, he had to exploit his opponent's hang-ups instead. Those that claimed their place was on the battlefield usually possessed deranged and atypical philosophies. They saw the world through their own lens, and as strange as that sounded, obsessed over coherence of their twisted interpretation of reality even more than regular men. Shirou reflected on that as he triumphantly set his dislocated leg back in place.
というわけで、これで俺にも勝ちの目が見えてきたということならだ。
Well, details mattered a little at this point. Now that he'd come this far, there was no reason not to try it out.
さあ、2回戦の開始だぜ、吸血鬼。前半はちょっとポイント取られたが、まあ気にしねえよ。問題なし。なんせこれから俺様が楽勝で勝つんだからな。
He said something that sounded hardly more than a mad delusion. Yet it was no bluff. He really believed he could beat Wilhelm now.
てめえマジで最高だな。あんがとよ。なんならもっと楽しませてやるぜ。そうだな。今度はもっときついのを食らわしてやるよ。
For he said that he was out of options. The same trick probably wouldn't work on the monster twice. What was more, the last attack had left Shirou bleeding heavily out his left shoulder, meaning he couldn't move as he wanted. His right arm fell off too, after he'd used it to punch the bastard. Shirou calmly analyzed and perceived just how bad a state his damaged body was in. Judging from his experience, it was clear that defeat was all but certain. Again? Yet he felt neither exhilaration nor fighting spirit, just pure disappointment. He cleared his tongue, his mind. He'd end up overcome with this feeling every time he found himself in a truly life-threatening situation. It made him want to puke his guts out. For knowledge, for knowledge, for knowledge, for knowledge. Once he felt it, he knew he was invincible. Now there was no way for him to suffer defeat. Not to this bastard, nor to anyone else.
たまんねえな、おい。いいぜ、認めてやるよ。俺が間違ってた。いや、正しかったのか？どっちでもいいな。どっちも同じだ。てめえの血はすする価値がある。てめえとはやり合う甲斐がある。事実だ。認めるぜ。
The whole thing was history coming in belief. The Ivory Demon couldn't stop the loves welling up in him. When was the last time Prey had ever given him such fun? Or since he'd seen a human this bad at giving up? He'd had several foes in the past who passed his standards of being worthy to devour, but the prey before him now far exceeded all of them. Wilhelm had never expected to meet a brat like this in such a complacent country. That was what made his life interesting. He joyfully wished that this ecstasy would last forever.
どこまで付き合える？俺はどこまででも付き合うぜ。てめえの可能性をぶちまけろ。放っておいたらてめえがこれから生きるだろう可能性と命全部まとめて俺に叩き込んでくれよ。てめえが掴むはずだったもん全部に俺の手が届くようになるかもしれねえ。よたってんじゃねえ。言ってることわけわかんなくなってんぜ。そうだったそうだった悪いな独り言さ。ただ俺には俺の手じゃ短すぎるんだ。だからずっと探してた。お前は合格か？
He was clearly looking down on Shirou, and yet...
聞くなら意味がわかるように喋れよ。じゃあこれならわかるだろう。
Wilhelm spread his hands out as though he were burying himself to Shirou. He wasn't just leaving himself open and defenseless. If he closed those arms, that would mean Shirou's death or run had been inside. Wilhelm smirked, showing off his fangs. Yeah, his canines were most certainly larger than they were before. Wilhelm smirked and stood defenseless before the clearly incapacitated Shirou. But Shirou neither showed excitement nor did he even try to raise his gun. He just furrowed his brow as he stared at the sneering vampire. For he had remembered the situation, and defying the school's atmosphere would soon shift and change. Wilhelm clicked his dog at the unwelcome interruption. He likely had his plan. The aging stigma indicated the school's swastika had been opened. He also could tell Rusalka's presence had disappeared. That meant he no longer had any business in this place. He resentfully remembered his orders. Pulled out as soon as the swastika is open. The words spoken by Christoph Lohengrin, the divine vessel, compelled him.
残念だ。てめえとの決着はまたお流れだな。次はもっと楽しませろ。今回は時間がかかりすぎだ。会うたびにマシにはなってる。熟成しろ。そうでなくちゃ食い出が足らねえ。
Wilhelm turned around, but Shirou called out to his bag before he could leave.
次は殺してやるよ。
Wilhelm snorted, remembering the words that had gone from his very own mouth. That was his only response. The demon of the night vanished without a glance back. For Shirou had been unable to see what Wilhelm's face looked like at the moment. He could easily picture it. The fierce and wicked grin of a beast. A smile that came naturally to the monster's face as he pictured their next rematch. Shirou found his own lips curving to smile when he pictured it.
次殺せっかな。
Kay regained consciousness and faintly opened her eyes. Realizing she was lying on the ground, she slowly got up and checked her surroundings. The school had fallen silent, and Kane seemed to have returned to being a motionless statue. The pain of the curse wasn't as bad as when she passed out either.
Marius.
Kay closed her eyes and searched for Rusalka's presence, but could not detect even a trace of that unmasculine, depraved aura of hers. Because of obvious reasons. For maybe she doesn't know yet. Rusalka was dead. No, she had killed her. The bitch wouldn't sully Kane's body and further. Okay, it really possessed the qualifications to be a full-fledged member of the obsidian table. You weren't the one that actually did the last hit. The final blow. The finisher. Alright, she had no regrets. Yet she could feel an odd wave in her breast. She hadn't thought of the witch as a comrade. In fact, she hated her. But the day that she killed her seemed like it lacked reality to Kay. Well, whatever the case, her gamble had paid off. Kay approached the motionless Kane.
Kane.
Kane? Why am I still saying Kane? It's Kane. Never mind. She caught his name and tried touching him. A mere corpse. Kane wasn't warm like a human. Without Lisa there to freeze his time, his body had begun to age, his decay having advanced considerably in the past few days. At this rate, it would be long before he started to fall apart.
待ってて。私が必ず助けるから。
He spoke to the mute Kane with a voice full of willpower, as for she was reconfirming her own intentions.
先輩。
Hibur was waiting for me just where I asked. She looked pretty pale back then, but seemed a little better now.
藤井君。綾瀬さん、無事に助けられたんだね。
Well, yeah, kind of.
ええ。おかげさまでなんとか。
そう。
She looked relieved to hear that.
先輩、これからどうするつもりですか?
Himura considered me with puzzled eyes.
俺たちと一緒に来てくれませんか?
Since Father Trip and Sisters were our enemies, there was no way Himura wasn't connected to this, but didn't look like she felt any hostility towards us, and I couldn't think of her as an enemy either.
ほら、先輩。
I held out my hand to her. I might have already been carried past me, but I could handle a wave of another girl, alright?
言ったでしょ。俺にとって大事な人だって。
Kind of. No matter her humor, secret, identity, or whatever she was still a part of my irreplaceable day-to-day life. I didn't want to lose or let her fade from my life. So...
さあ。
I was about to tap her on the shoulder when...
親愛なる白鳥よ。この角笛とこの剣と指輪を彼に与えたまえ。
Huh?
No.
Say what? Something shiny was approaching the two of
Senpai!
An explosion got the light blinded me, and I felt him separate from me, somewhere where neither my voice nor heart could reach her. It all happened in a flash, but...
嘘だろ。
Ria Himuro had completely vanished. As such, this was his victory. He who had risked the greatest gamble and overcome impossible odds had in the end proved victorious. For now.
大隊長お三方は封じられたことになる。
Trifa held the conscious Ria in his arms, revealing the joy of success. The rays of the fifth swastika should have marked the advent of the three Obsidian Round Table battalion commanders. But the other condition, the Sun King's wish for death, had been inverted just in the nick of time. Nothing would have been impossible if the scales in Ra's mind hadn't shifted towards the desire to live. As such, he had to put his plan into motion today, even if it risked summoning the God's Imperial Guard. Failure was not an option. He truly made it by a hair's breadth, by the skin of his teeth. He felt he had literally saved a good portion of his lifespan, but...
勝ったのは私だ。
he had accomplished his goal.
そして救われたのはあなただ。
Tertia, now you'll be saved. Rest in ease.
藤井さんのもとに行きたかったのでしょうし、できれば行かせてあげたかったが、それではどうにもならぬのですよ。誰にもハイドリ秘境は倒せない。
Wanna bet? Therefore, this was the only way.
すべてを知れば怒りますか？私を憎みますか？憎むのでしょうね。
Let's give it a shot, the hated guy. But he cared not. Fathers were probably that wide by nature. Whether their children hated or shunned them, supporting their flesh and blood from the shadows and shouldering the burden was their job.
せめて彼が悪魔の煮えとならずに済んだ幸運を喜んでほしい。あなたに生きる意志を与え、呪わしき結界から解放される一助となった彼のことを。
Eh? Trifa made a vow to deliver the young man to the highest of caves, as a token of gratitude.
悪魔の城はこれで流出せずに済む。
What the hell is he talking about? At least for as long as the divine vessels still drew breath.
要は私が負けねばよいのだ。
The priest then muttered as he hailed like a prayer, making the sign of the cross as he did. Wait. Nine out of 13. Alright, number 1, Mephistopheles, not around, Volcane, Christoph, Lohengrin, Ravsgubay, Leonhard, Sonnenkind, Gods von Berlingen, Shirou, not around, Zamil Zentaur, Moleman, Roderspinnemabel, Hrodvintnir, not around as well. Alright. Swastika 5 out of 8. Chapter 9, Mass Murder ends. And so we begin chapter 10. Right? Oh shit, this place again. Kay placed her palm on her abdomen. She could no longer feel any pain there. However, she still could not shake off the phantom sensation of something being there. She recalled now the case through Selka's words, that her own oath of honor and fealty were weak. Thinking back on her own actions, she had to agree on that part.
Yo, Leon!
A voice seeped out from the darkness that continued deep into the hallway. Wilhelm, had he been waiting for her, or was he merely passing by?
マレウスがドジ踏んだらしいな。聞いてるか？
What were Wilhelm's true intentions? For a moment, Kay's mind drew a blank, and Wilhelm took the reins of the conversation before she could open her mouth.
どうして？ショックかい？
別に殺し合いをしたなら殺されることもあるだろう。それだけのことでは。
まあなあ。けど首と胴体が泣き別れってのは違くねえか？魔女ってのは家系と相場が決まってんだろ。
She had no clue what sort of reaction he was trying to provoke. Kay tried to reply with the most indifferent tone she could master.
首をはねるのがギロチンだ。彼と戦って負けたならそれが当然の結末だろ。
ところがだ、マレウスは胴体の方にも風穴を開けられてた。刺し傷だ。ギロチンじゃ切っても刺せはしねえ。これってな、一体どういうからくりなんだろうな。
I don't know. He bounced one of those weird things she created.
私たちは死体を残さない。ベイ、つまらない嘘をつくな。
Kay looked up harshly at Wilhelm. The two of them just stood there like statues for a while.
ご名答。今のは口から出任せだ。さすがに引っかかるほどのアマちゃんじゃねえか。謝るよ。嘘は良くなかったよな。勘弁してくれや。そう、仲間に嘘を吐くやつは最低だ。裏切りだもんな。そうは思わねえかい、レオン。
Kay's heart pounded wildly. Something cold spread to her chest. She wondered if he'd seen right through her.
何を言っているのかわからない。しかし私は別に気にしていない。お前のザレ言はいつものことだ。
いい加減おとぼけはよせよ、レオンちゃん。え？
Wilhelm grabbed Kay's wrist, squeezing it so hard it cracked. She felt pain run through her, down to her bare bones.
お前はマレウスに呪われてた。よかったな、そいつが消えてよ。普通は死んだ方が強くなるもんらしいんだが、あいつは自分が死ぬことなんか考えねえ。そこは運が良かったって。
Really? She never considered that? Wow.
つまりあの坊主はまんまとお前に利用されたってわけだ。
3秒以内にこの手を離せ。マレウスの後を追いたくなければな。
勇ましいな、お嬢ちゃん。やれんのか？今度は不意打ちじゃねえぜ。
Calm calculations ran through her mind. Did Wilhelm have definite proof? If so, his words could read her. If Triva found out, that'd be the end of her. She had to kill him, but did she really have what it took? She could feel his strength crushing her arm. If she ever got in a battle with him, she couldn't do it with half-hearted determination. It would be kill or be killed through and through. To prove victorious, she'd need unwavering conviction and undiluted inner kill before even starting to consider her strategy. However,
勘違いするなよ。
Crimson eyes glared at Kay just before she could solidify her resolve.
俺は別に責めてるわけじゃねえ。殺しに理屈はいらねえだろ。やりたいからやる。それでいいじゃねえか。
Kay's wrist creaked. The sound echoed through the quiet hallway like a countdown.
つまり殺したくなったらお前は黒煙卓の者にも容赦しないと。
仲間殺しはてめえの方だろ。
どうだかな。
Kay was looking for chance, maybe Wilhelm was too. Either wanted to miss the right moment. If Bruges came to shove, would she have to give up that arm? If she could activate her creation figment in time.
まあ、俺はまた奪われたってことになるのかね。
一体何の話だ。
The candlestick's flames waved with a draft. Wilhelm's crimson eyes clouded over as he seemed to gaze off into the distance for a moment. Or was it just an illusion caused by the swaying candle's flame? She looked straight at him to confirm it, but his pale face had already warped back into its usual fiendish smirk.
気にすんな。つまらねえ昔話よ。
The strength gripping her wrist suddenly vanished. Kay could tell Wilhelm's intent to kill was turning to something else. She couldn't let her guard down yet, but the core of his bloodlust seemed to have vanished for now. She shook his hand off.
まあともかくだ。今んところシュピーネ覗きゃ女ばっかりくたばってるみたいだしよ。お前さんも気ぃつけな。バビロンが死んだのを忘れるんじゃねえぞ。人形に命を吹き込む人形師はもういねえんだ。今のカインは少しずつ腐って肉の塊に過ぎねえよ。ほう、いい顔するじゃねえか。劣等同士文字通り腐っても同族ってわけだ。なんせあの化け物はお前の。
言うな。
Kay's eye narrowed, her blood began boiling in her veins. Wilhelm had infringed on a very personal subject. A killing then of completely different nature filled her to the brim.
この場所のスワスチカ、貴様の命で開くか。
Wilhelm bared his white teeth in a beastly smile.
いいね。ちっくしん、ゾクゾクしてきやった。今まで見た中で一番セクシーな顔してるぜ、レオン。そうこなくちゃ面白くねえってもんだ。
The countdown started up again, faster than before. But the mooncake shook him off.
お揃いで何か相談でも？
The impasse was instantly dispelled by a calm voice. Kay turned around to find the tall priest standing there with his usual smile, the candle's light coating his blonde hair.
生産会芸か。
Wilhelm clicked his tongue and called out to him.
クリストフ。
Chapter 10. What? Polydamors? Okay. Back to the club. We returned to the club in the van that Honjo sent for us. Casimir was out cold for the whole trip. She didn't regain consciousness even after we moved her to the sofa. I brought my ear to her mouth to check her breathing. For a feint, she was breathing peacefully. I pressed two of my fingers against her neck. I could clearly feel her slow but steady pulse.
どう？何か問題ある？
Honjo addressed me as she busied herself with her own tasks, patching up Shirou's arm.
いや、こっちは平気だ。気絶しているだけだな。
そう。
そっちは？
全然大したことねえよ。
みたいよ。
That clearly wasn't the case, judging from her exasperated tone alone. Well, even a blind man could tell Shirou wasn't fine. Asumi's breathing suddenly grew rough. She moaned slightly, her face twisted in agony. But that was all. Her furrowed eyebrows gradually loosened up. Her breathing grew steadier again. It seemed she was only having a bad dream, and who could blame her after what she had to live through today? Well, at least we managed to get her out of that crap alive.
おい、あんまりぐるぐる巻くなよ。
Shirou grumbled as Honjo wrapped a bandage around his arm.
何言ってんの？本来ならベッドにカーベルトでぐるぐる巻きにされる怪我だってのに。
だからお前に頼んでんだろ。
限度があるって言ってんの。動くんじゃない。
だからよせって。そんなガッチガチに固められたら動きが取れねえ。
当たり前だって。へし折れてんだから骨が腕のポッキーンって動かそうったって動くもんじゃないのよ。
体重支えるわけじゃねえなら筋肉だけで動くもんだろ。
バカったれ。折れた骨が肉突き破ったらそれもできなくなるのよ。
It was so charming how well they get along. But would be what I would have been thinking if the contents of their conversation weren't so messed up. Shirou got those wounds in his battle with Wilhelm. They were more than enough to earn one entire trip to the hospital, just like Honjo said. The reason he was getting treatment here was because Shirou himself refused to go. Apparently he couldn't trust someone he didn't know to get anywhere near him now. I was inclined to agree, given the situation. As for me, I silently looked down, opening and closing my hand. I stroked the spots where I'd been wounded. But there was nothing. No wounds, no damage, nothing. The wounds all over me had completely sealed up by now. Were it not for the tears in my clothes, I probably wouldn't even know where I'd gotten injured. The biggest wound was really nothing but a narrow line across my skin. It looked like something left after peeling off an old and already useless scalp. And in just another few seconds, the last trace of it completely vanished, as if it sunk into my skin. I was in perfect shape with that. I was just a little tired and could feel something all in my right arm. The former was just exhaustion, and the latter was merely my imagination. Achtenreiber had no wave, and that thick blade was part of me, so it shouldn't have felt like a foreign object.
おい、何してんだよ。大げさだな。
何？まだ痛いの？ひ弱いやつ。
違うって。
Shirou lifted his left hand and Honjo tilted her head as she tried to fix a splint.
動かしづらいだろうがよ。
あんたね。
Honjo shouted in expression as she tried to force the bones of Shirou's left arm back in their place.
そんなバカ言ってると、いい加減この腕、使い物にならなくなるよ。
She set the splint and firmly wrapped the bandage around it. Her skill with that was as good as you'd expect from a doctor's daughter. It didn't seem she was in the mood to put up with Shirou's antics today. He swooped his unbound right arm and grinned like an idiot.
平気だっつーの。まだこっちが残ってんだから。
だからバカだっつってんの。そっちだってひび入ってんだから。あんま調子くれて振り回してっと自然にバキッといっちゃうよ。
そんなやわじゃねえよ。
おとなしくしてないと折れる前に私が叩き折ってやるって言ってんの。
おいおい、物騒なやつだな。
Shirou stopped swinging his arm as he listened to Honjo's half-joking threats. How was that guy so energetic with two injured arms? It was as though he'd lost his sense of pain.
はい、左腕終わりっと。じゃ、次そっちの腕、よこしな。
そっとやれよ。
だから、そーっとやってるだろ。これ以上ないくらい、そーっとやってるっつーの。
Honjo skillfully finished up her handiwork, leaving Shirou's arms neatly bandaged. His left arm in particular looked like a mummy's.
あとこれ、熱が出るだろうから熱冷まし。
お。
He swallowed the pill Honjo gave him. He had a doctor, so he must have really trusted her to be so uncharacteristically obedient. No, it wasn't anything as romantic as that. He just didn't want his fighting skills to degrade. Instinct, so to speak. He was covered in wounds all over, but Shirou could indeed fight better than any normal human could. The problem was that even that was not good enough to match those bastards.
ねえ、なんか食べる？
いらねえよ。つうか、ねえだろ食い物とか。
買ってくるって、そんくらい。そっちは？
Honjo looked at me, but I didn't answer. She furrowed her eyebrows.
ダメだよ。なんか腹に入れとかないと持たないよ。
何が持たないって？
気持ちが。
Yeah, she was right on the money. Absolutely right. We looked at each other.
焼きうどん、豚肉山盛り、ニンニクビタビタ。
俺も。
はいよーって焼きうどんにニンニク？まあ男って。
理由があるんだよ。たっぷり頼むぜ。
はいはい。
Honjo grumbled as she put on her jacket and left. The only ones left in the room were me, Shirou, and Kasumi, still without clothes, of course. Silence. It was an awkward silence. There were things I wanted to ask, and Shirou was waiting for me to ask them. It was that kind of silence.
なあ。
Shirou was the first to break it.
かすみ、大丈夫か？
あ、大丈夫だと思う。俺には詳しくわからないけど。
何されたんだよ。
Shirou's question brought back memories of Rusaka's taunts. She said she called back Kasumi's sealed memories. But explaining that to Shirou would mean having to tell him about what Kasumi did, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to put it to words.
それもわからない。俺がたどり着いた時には、もう気を失っていたし。
別に怪我とかしてるわけじゃないんだろ。
ああ。
だとしたら、奴らお得意のオカルトか。確かに、俺たちには手出しできねえな。
Shirou didn't sound satisfied with my explanation. But the look in his eyes told me he wouldn't pry any further. The silence returned. But I still didn't break the ice. I couldn't find the words. I should probably thank him for his assistance. It was the fact that he did help. I also want to ask him how he survived Wilhelm's attack. But for how long was I planning to keep on dragging Shirou into this mess? And Honjo too? No way I could continue this. They'd both end up dead one of those days. I mean, I already basically sacrificed Shirou today to save Kasumi. And he was all into it himself. He wasn't the type who'd run away just because he was told to. And he'd doubtlessly keep getting into this kind of trouble, with or without me. But even so, god damn it, I myself had no idea what I wanted to do with him anymore.
な、
I found broke something, but all I could say was,
本庄の料理ってどうなんだ。
お前どうも何も。一回食ったろ。
霞との合作じゃわけわかんねえよ。
ま、あいつよりはうまいんじゃねえの？多分。
his answer was much more half-hearted than I expected.
って言うなよ、こんなこと。つけ上がるからな、あいつ。
つけ上がるんだ。
つけ上がるさ。あれで相当調子者なんだよ。
別にいいだろ、調子者でも。お前もそうだし。
はぁ？おいおい、勘弁しろよ。
Shirou was the one to look away from me for once, breaking into a smile.
なんとなく分かった気がするよ。あいつがいるからお前は風船みたいにどっかに飛んでいったりせずに、まだこの町にいるんだな。
あいつもあれでふらふら飛んでいきたい風船だぜ。
でも学校を辞めるほどめちゃくちゃでもない。
分かってねえよ。そんな理由じゃねえんだ。
A thick, dangerous look returned to Shirou's eyes.
俺もあいつもいろいろ考えた挙句、この町ほど面白い町はなかなかねえって思っただけさ。
面白い。
物騒って言い換えたっていい。現にここ以外じゃこんな怪我はできやしねえだろ。
I guess that's true at this point.
普通それは残る理由じゃなくて、町を出ていく理由だ。
何が普通かなんて関係あるのか？
I spontaneously glanced down at my right arm.
関係ないか。
だろ？
The silence then came back with a vengeance. I stood up from the chair after a short while.
どうするんだ。
I finally managed to force out the topic that was really on my mind all this time, putting the time of small talk to an end.
どうするもこうするも。
For Salka had been beaten, the scales hadn't turned in our favor one bit. Heck, they only appeared to be getting worse now that the new swastika had been opened. We had to clarify our current straits. Battles to the death awaited us in the near future. Not like we hadn't been through a few before, but this was where the real bloodbath began. Turning back after this last step was simply not an option. Yet Shirou just smiled the exact same way he always did.
やらなきゃならないことをやる。邪魔する奴がいたらぶっ飛ばす。つうか殺す？それだけだよ。
で、わかってるだろ。
I showed Shirou my torn clothes and the skin that lay beneath those ribs, with the scabs having just peeled off on raw. My skin was like a newborn baby's. This was how things were for me. I'd been through a harsh battle, and all I came out with were some torn clothes. But Shirou and Honjo were different. It wasn't hard to picture what would happen if those two kept accompanying me.
だから
But Shirou didn't seem to be affected by my warning in the slightest.
あとは俺に任せろとか、お前らはどっかに隠れとけとか、そういうことを言うわけか？お前が？
He was right. I had no right to say anything like that. First of all, the situation wouldn't change even if I did. The world didn't resolve around us. Hell, it was being ahead of us instead. So I had no right to decide things for others. If Shirou and Honjo wanted to rush into the depths, that was their prerogative. I wasn't my place to tell them otherwise.
お前はそれでいいかもしれないけど。
エリーのことは気にすんな。俺よりあいつの方が目端は利くくらいだぜ。
死ぬぞ。
その方がマシだね。
He tried to shrug, but only ended up grimacing instead. He really couldn't move his left shoulder.
第一お前、横から入ってきてあとは全部任せろって調子がいいんだよ。
横から？
ああ、お前が絡んでくる前から俺はこの事件の当事者なんだよ。
なんでお前が？
やっぱ勘違いしてやがったな。
Shirou pointed straight at my forehead.
俺もエリーもあいつらは歓迎してんのさ。事情があってな。ああいう化け物じみた奴らじゃなきゃ俺らにかけられた呪いは多分解けてくれねえ。もしかすると
Shirou's gaze pierced me, focusing on something deep inside me.
この呪いそのものもあいつらの仕業なのかもしれね
呪いってなんだ？
てめえはダメだ。
Was I supposed to get it just from that?
ダメだってなんだよ。
言ったってわからなかったろうがよ。
言ったって、いつ？
俺見ろ、お話になんね
え。なんだよ、それは。
それにフェアじゃねえだろうが。てめえは山ほど隠し事して、俺には全部話せって？
Hit a point, but...
まあ相変わらず、お前は難しく考えすぎなんだって。
Shirou smiled avoided, but he just laughed.
気に入った女がいたら抱く。邪魔する奴がいたら締める。まだ突っかかってくるようなら殺す。それでいいじゃんか。な。
If that were all, then it really would be a lot off my mind. At the very least, Shirou's logic paid mine in this case, probably. However...
勝手に死ぬなよ。
約束はできねえ。
お前な。
お互い好き勝手にし合ってるだけだ。俺は藤井蓮のオプションじゃねえ。まあまずは、あいつらにそれを教え込んでやらねえとだがよ。
Shirou gripped his right hand to make sure it was still working. Nothing I said could stop him. Then there was but one thing I could do.
俺も、好きにやるぞ。
そうしろって言ってんだろ。
It was up to me to stop him from dying. I lacked the power to protect everyone, and so that was the best I could promise him. Alright, so... I know it says Honjo returned, but we are actually going to be still waiting for her, and she will return in the next episode. So for now, hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Tomorrow, bye bye.